I've just wrapped up a very long trip. I went to London 2 times, Oxford, as well as Paris. I took the Eurostar back and forth, and I surprised myself how much I'm still learning how to make the most of solo traveling. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Sharri Harmel. I'm your host, and this is the place where we explore the art of designing a fabulous next chapter. This video really goes into a little bit more detail. I've done a video about solo travel before, but as I said, I just keep learning. And so consequently, I want to share that with you because solo travel should be fun, should be inspiring, and you should still feel safe and comfortable going to the places and seeing the things that you want to see. My first recommendation is to stay in a good boutique hotel. When traveling as a couple, saving money by choosing a lesser expensive hotel can make perfect sense. You can have fun, you can be inspired in those kinds of settings, and you can still feel safe. But as a solo traveler, it often doesn't make sense, and I'll explain why. Um, the one thing I do also want to share is that once you have a favorite in a city, go back because that familiarity that you have with that particular hotel or that particular hotel group helps you to feel comfortable. When I travel alone to London or to New York City, I always stay in Kit Kemp's hotels. It's called the Ferndale Group. But if you just Google Kit Kemp's hotels, you'll get directly to her hotels. I think there's maybe three now in London, and there's probably six, seven, eight, or whatever I'm sorry, three in New York City, and there's probably six, seven, or eight in London. Kit is a Brit who started with hotels in London. I stay regularly at number 16, and this is just one of the rooms. That I've stayed in on this trip, believe it or not. This is a very pink room. Usually pink is not one of Kit's colors. It's very interesting. But why do I love this hotel? Truly, I know the towels, I know the bedding, I know the bath products. It sounds bizarre, but you know the routines of a hotel. You know how to get breakfast. You know how does room service work, and you feel comfortable no matter what. Even the smell of the hotel will, I think, remind you of home if you've been there more than one time and you loved it. I have tried to cut expenses so many times on the hotels. I thought, oh my God, it's just a place where I sleep. Is it really that important? But truly, I have regretted it every single time I have done it. I have ended up in hotel rooms at the end of a long hallway. I have been in hotel rooms where someone is yelling next door to me because they rented it out to a bunch of kids. Crazy. I have done all of that. Small boutique hotels, I find, really take much better care of you than a large hotel, regardless of the number of stars. I don't care if it's, George Cinq, on Rue de Rivoli, or it is, I'm trying to think I haven't stayed in a fancy, high-end hotel in New York City for a long time. But the boutique hotels just have more consistent staff. And so the staff actually cares about you as a customer, and you feel very, very comfortable. In one part of this trip was a tour with Victoria Magazine, and we stayed in a smallish hotel in London. I didn't love it as much as Kit Kemp's hotels, honestly. I didn't like the location. I didn't like the darkness. That's one thing, when you get into these old British hotels, they can feel really, really dark. In Paris also, actually, because there's limited light in Paris. So it can be an issue. But we also stayed in a very large hotel, the Randolph in Oxford, England. It was terrible. It's a highly rated hotel, but there was no comparison truly between even the small boutique hotel that we stayed in called the Milestone, in a kind of the end of Kensington Gardens. Um, no comparison between the Milestone and the Randolph up in Oxford. So pay attention to that. You know, I find that the large hotels, as an example, they just struggle with training their staff. And I think it's a bigger issue today than it was even, pre-pandemic. But they struggle training staff, having staff really have the right attitude or consistent attitude. And that leads me to my next lesson, and that is that safety matters most, really a lot as a solo traveler, because if you don't feel safe, you won't sleep. And you have to feel safe in that hotel room to get a good night's sleep. You're all by yourself. And so consequently, you will hear everything or nothing. And both of those things could freak you out. They have me. Small hotels don't have, as I mentioned, those endless long hallways where you feel completely isolated as you walk to your room. Another thing that I have done is I actually put, I have a relaxation. I think it's Dan Gibson, um, uh, that I have on my phone, and it's something that I listen to even when I'm at home, wherever home is, to help me to go to sleep. And so consequently, it's kind of like Pavlov's dog, the training to fall asleep when you're training your body and your brain to relax when you hear that music, that particular sounds, and it works. So I turn that on when I am in a hotel room. I turn it on even when I'm in a normal home. Um, on that safety conversation, really plan out your evenings very, very carefully. You don't want to be getting off the subway or a bus and have to, night and have to walk down dark streets. Summer's easier because it stays light longer, especially Northern Hemisphere. It's obviously the opposite, Southern Hemisphere. Um, but pay attention to that because you will feel much more comfortable going to, say, a musical in the evening in the summertime than you will in the fall or the winter. Um, when I go to plays, though, I actually now have started to choose matinees, um, because I don't want to be thinking about how am I going to get back to my hotel or how am I going to get home while I'm watching the second half of the play or the musical, whatever it might be. One thing I do keep on my phone all the time, I use it a lot in Boston, and I've used it in Paris pretty consistently, and often I use it in London when I get out of plays in the evening because I can't get a taxi, and that's Uber. I know people will say all sorts of reasons why they don't have Uber on your phone, but truly, as a woman, especially a solo traveler, you need Uber on your phone. And even if you're traveling with your partner, but you happen to be of a certain age, you need to have those backup plans. Um, in terms of eating, I tend to eat my biggest meal at lunch, actually a late lunch, because then I only need something light in the evening, and I'll order a salad or I'll pick up something in a little shop along the way, that if I get hungry at night, I can have something in my room. But my big special meal is during the day, which is also very fun because you can go to a Michelin star restaurant for lunch and pay a fraction of the cost of dinner, and they can be absolutely fantastic. So, anyways, that's my bit about safety. The only thing I want to add to that is homeless people. Talk about homeless people. All of you have very big hearts. I hear it in all of the comments that you make on this channel, and I think that's really, really wonderful. But be careful because sometimes in certain parts of the world, the homeless, the beggars, if you want to call them that, are actually part of a thievery ring. They're actually operating almost as slaves to some extent to some sort of a ring that is above them. And you have to be careful You're much better, finding an NGO that you're really passionate about and give your money to that versus uh, turning over money or putting money in those kinds of cups, if we call it, because you can become a target. A really common experience that happens in Paris specifically, and it's happened to me a couple of times, where someone runs up to me and says they just found a ring or a piece of jewelry, and they want, is this yours? Is this yours, madam? And what they're doing is creating a distraction so that someone can actually pick your pocket. So you have to be tremendously careful all the time. And that leads me to talking about our bags. And gosh, I was going to show you because number one, you have to you have to be careful that the normal over the shoulder Longchamp makes the canvas ones that we all love right over the shoulder. Those bags are so easily, anything that is just over the shoulder is easily accessed by someone. It is also easily grabbed by someone and pulled off of your shoulder. I would definitely do a crossbody. I wouldn't think twice about a crossbody. Actually, I live in Boston and Paris, and I carry crossbodies all the time, various sizes. So think about that. One bag that I just recently purchased, and I think you can see it here. This is a Longchamp. They make it in all kinds of colors, and I loved it, really love it. It's not heavy at all. It's that really kind of canvasy looks. I don't know what it is actually, but it's got a good solid strap. I can throw it, crossbody over my shoulders. I can carry it on my arm if I want to. And there's some internal pockets, which is absolutely fantastic. What's also cool about this bag is it fits a laptop if in fact, you're doing any kind of working at the same time. The other thing I want to talk about though, so that's my crossbody thing. And if you're going out for, dinner, you're planning some things where you're going to be getting dressed up. Obviously, you don't want to bring that big bag I just showed you. So have yourself a crossbody that's small so that your phone fits in it, your money fits in it. I never carry my passport, honestly. I have a copy of it on my phone, but I don't carry it in anything unless I'm going shopping and I know I'm going to be able to try to get the VAT off, a refund for the VAT, in which case you have to show your passport. So that's the only time I ever carry a passport. The rest of the time, I lock it in my suitcase, believe it or not. So let's talk about suitcases, though. And I just have to upfront say, I can't seem to learn. So I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you. We have to manage our own bags. And I mentioned, I've been in multiple cities. So when I'm a part of a tour, when you're a part of a tour, you don't have to worry too much because that's assuming you don't have anything going on the front end of the tour or the back end of the tour, because typically tours will take care of your bags. And you're taxiing from one place to another. But if you're trying to get on a train, you have got to be able to manage your own bag. And nobody helps. Absolutely not. So what do? I shop too much. And I have to say, on this tour with Victoria Magazine, every place we went that was a kind of a visit as part of the tour, they gave us a book. We're not talking like a small book. We are talking a coffee table book that was at least this thick. So it's heavy, really heavy. So what did I do after all that? I recognized I might as well just buy another suitcase, a cheap suitcase that I can check, and the books went in there. Yeah, because and then then you have space so you can shop. Part of the issue is that shipping is horribly expensive. Shipping just skyrocketed during COVID and after. It has never come down. And it is much better. actually much cheaper, more economical for you to go to a cheap luggage store, buy $100, $125 suitcase, and stuff it full of everything and check it. Because even if you have to pay per bag at the airport, you are going to be, when you add in the cost of the suitcase and the cost of actually transporting another bag, it is still cheaper than what it's going to cost you to ship. So, yeah, so think about that. I don't know why tour companies, give you these massive books. I find it really amazing. And also, this brings, I'm flipping backwards just to the hotels, because what I did, I was in London, went up to Oxford, back to London, and then I took the Eurostar to Paris. I had to go see a whole bunch of friends and do some videotaping for you. So I had some work involved too. But what I did is I took only what I thought I absolutely needed for the days that I was in Paris. And I left everything else at the hotel. And a small boutique hotel, that's not a big deal. So what did they do? They stored the one that looks like, coffin size in their luggage room, and then a smaller one that had all the books in it. And so I could leave that behind and I could get on the Eurostar. I say that because the porters, not the porters, but the staff people on the Eurostar will not touch your luggage. They will not touch your luggage. So anyways, you need to be able to lift it up, get it up into the train, get yourself in the train, and then do the reverse. Um, Packing, that means you got to pack tight. And again, I'm talking to myself here. Um, I, I I've probably worn the same things day after day during this particular trip. Scarves save you, costume jewelry save you, and you can also use the laundry service at your hotel. And again, I'm singing the praises of small boutique hotels because they tend to not lose your laundry and usually do a very, very beautiful job. Shoes, I have big feet, so my shoes weigh a lot. And some of you may know what I'm talking about, but just make sure that you have what's comfortable. And there are so many cute tennis shoes out there today. You'll see them on men and women. Now you see them all over Paris. You will see them in Italy. Some of the most beautifully dressed men and women have on tennis shoes, gorgeous tennis shoes. When Dior makes tennis shoes, you know that there's an upscale market for tennis shoes. Vivalia, I'll also mention to you, it's Vivalia, Vivalia shoes. And they're made from recycled plastic, actually, but the shoes are super cute. They're very comfortable and they're very light. And so if you want to bring one pair of dress shoes, those are great. I tend to wear flats, so it's not difficult for me, but I had a pair of those packed and they take up no space and they don't weigh a thing. Um, Also, we're still on the suitcase topic. Hair tools like curling irons and smoothers and even hot rollers, etc., can be very bulky. And actually, because of the conversion of I don't know what it's called, wattage, something like that, voltage, something, I don't know what it is. I have burned out more hair tools, even though I'm using an adapter. So I have learned, and so when I travel, you can see my hair doesn't look so fantastic. I use Velcro rollers. And so what I do, they're light. They usually are something that I can, easily throw into my carry-on or whatever if I need to. I put them in my hair when it's slightly damp, and then I use the hotel hair dryer to kind of warm them up and create hot rollers. In about 15 minutes, I'm telling you, you will have great curls. And so Try that. Try Velcro rollers, and they make them all different sizes. So whether you have long hair, I don't know how they work on extensions if you have extensions, but if you have long hair or you have short hair and you just want to get some body, they make them all different sizes. So think about that. Um, so anyways, next suggestion, get yourself a Kindle. I'm going to show you something. Here's my Kindle, and I'm telling you, this thing is loaded with books. Um, Books are company. They really are, but they're heavy, really heavy. Even if it's three paperbacks, they take up an incredible amount of room. So what I do is I load up my Kindle before I go on the trip with all kinds of books and even some magazines, excuse me, that I want to read. You can also get newspapers on Kindle. So, if you're traveling outside your country and certainly outside of your language. So when I'm in Paris, as an example, getting a newspaper, whether it's the Financial Times, or I also get my regular Wall Street Journal, or New York Times, or whatever it is that you like to read, get it on your Kindle. You can also access it on your phone because it's just certainly a way to stay connected. You can also always cancel this subscription when you're back home. But that's my suggestion there. Medications and vitamins. I have only once made the mistake of forgetting a certain medication, and it's a medication I can't do without. And I had to call somebody in the States and ask them to fill my medication and then send it to me in Paris. And if you don't know this, it's actually illegal to send even pharmaceutical medications through the mail to another country. And I didn't know that at the time. Thank heavens, nothing happened, but I will never, ever do that again. So make sure that your medications are in your carry-on bag, not in anything that you are checking. Same with vitamins, because vitamins, as we all know, are not kind of universal. Depends on the country, but it depends on the company. So don't take chances. Your body, all of us, our bodies like consistency. And when we travel, we want the only difference to really be the time zone. So keep your vitamins and certainly your medications with you. And also remember, because someone I know, this happened to them. They thought, I'm going on the train. What's the big deal? I can slot my vitamins and medications into my bag. That in train travel, you are responsible for your bag, but your bag doesn't go next to you in your seat. There's luggage areas usually at the front of each car, and you stack all your luggage in there. Everyone does, that's in that car. And then you go to your seat, and you could be a good distance away. And as we all know, there's a million pieces of black luggage. So you never know if someone could potentially be picking yours up. So just make sure you've got your medications and your vitamins with you. Same, obviously, for your passport. The Victoria trip, somebody actually put their passport in a bag that they left at the hotel while we went off on a tour. And that's dangerous. So nothing happened, thank heavens. But again, when you're going to be leaving luggage and going off on a tour, make sure you've got your passport with you at that point, and your medication and your vitamins and your phone. And just on the phone conversation, I cannot believe how many people on this Victoria tour that were not using a international data plan. They thought it was a waste of money. But when you don't use an international data plan, you have to turn off cellular, as you well know. You can't get Uber because if you have to have Wi-Fi to access all your apps, you're really at a disadvantage. And when you think about it, I have AT&T, AT&T, their international plan just went up to $12 from $10 a day. So now it's $12 a day, but they charge you for a maximum of 10 days. That's $120. And $120 is well worth you having access to all of your messages, because your messages now come through internationally. Your WhatsApp app, if in fact you need that, because often if you're on a tour group, that's how people are communicating. Your emails, calls from home, and you have your phone with you so that you actually put, in case of emergency or ice into your phone. The other issue with phones is I want you to think about um, knowing how to call the emergency numbers in the country that you're going to. It's not 911 universally. They're all different. And so really do your homework to make sure that you know how to make an emergency, call in the country that you're in. Also, be able to figure out how to call someone else in the country. So when you travel, and if I'm repeating or saying something that you already know, I greatly apologize. But your phone, even though you're in, let's say, England, your phone thinks you're back in the United States. And so your phone doesn't know how to call the hotel, as an example. It doesn't know the 01, the 44, what order, in France, you leave off the first zero, as an example, when you're calling from the US, even though you're in, say, France, the phone thinks it's in America. And so you've got to get really comfortable with that and put the numbers actually into your phone, so that your phone, you can hit whatever the hotel is and have it call it properly so it can get through. Otherwise, you will just get beep, 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 and you'll have somebody come on that it's a recording that tells you, forget it. um, Health insurance plans. Do not leave United States or wherever you are. And if you're in Canada or you're in the UK, Australia, wherever it might be, Europe, make sure your medical insurance plan is usable in the country that you're going to. And if it's not, get yourself travel insurance. For all you Americans, Medicare, and you're older, Medicare does not cover you outside of the country. And so you have to pay attention to that. You have to buy medical insurance, basically. It's travel insurance, just in case the trip got canceled. But what you're most interested in is medical insurance, because things happen. You could get sick, you could trip and fall, you could break something, God knows what. And you want the access, you need to have insurance coverage so that if it's something significant, you've got the coverage. Um, yes, okay. The last thing I wanted to mention is adapters. Get yourself a simple adapter that you can use, in the country that you're going to, or in my case, I had one that did both the UK as well as the EU, because they're different. And it's really important. That big hotel that was in Oxford, for some reason, my toothbrush did not work in it. And so I went downstairs and I thought, this can't be that big of a deal. The hotel's, got all kinds of Americans or people from all over the world in it, but they did not have any adapters. I mean, they were pulling adapters, like adapters that looked like they were 300 years old, out of this drawer, and none of them were workable. So have your own adapter. They don't take up a whole lot of space. And I'm telling you, it will be comfortable. You will know that you can get whatever it is that you need to get. On that electric toothbrush comment, the electric toothbrush, for whatever reason, because my electric toothbrush, I have to charge like once every 2 weeks. It did not fit into the adapter that I bought. So make sure everything fits before you actually leave wherever your home is. Um, Last, all I'm going to say is think about some of those hotel room extras. There's one hotel Certainly kit camps are so bright and cheery that I don't necessarily need flowers. But if it's a dark hotel, flowers are lovely. I stayed at Dabasson in Paris just recently, and they put flowers in your room, which is beautiful. And I didn't even have to do it as an extra, but it makes the room special. It makes the room more homey. What Kit Camps hotels do is they give you something called Rick Rack is their brand, and it's a lavender eucalyptus um, pillow, linen, and room mist. It's absolutely lovely. They hand it to you. You can spray it on your pillows, bring it home, whatever it might be. It's wonderful. It's just one more of the advantages of Kit Kemp's hotels. Some of these ideas apply, honestly, whether you're traveling solo or with someone else. But I share all of them because when you travel solo, you have to solve all the issues by yourself. Even if you're an accomplished solo traveler like myself, sometimes even the simplest issues can feel overwhelming. In one of my upcoming videos, I'm going to go into some detail about tours because I've now taken a number of tours and I've learned some things about what to look for in tours. And so if you want to hear more and you like what we talk about on this channel, please do subscribe if you're not already subscribed and keep sharing. I absolutely love reading your comments. I try to answer all of them myself. It's just me. It's not like I have this team that is reading your comments. It's me. And that builds a community I think that we are all craving in our lives. So I want to thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for, watching the channel, following the channel, and chiming in with your comments. Take care, everyone. A biento.